Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant Chess Wise. Today we are going to look at an opening for white. That is, we are looking at the line against the Sicilian Najdorf. So let us see what is Sicilian Najdorf. We will learn the basics of Najdorf Sicilian and then look at a line as usual. So E4, C5. This is the beginning of Sicilian defense. NF3, D6, D4. CD4 and D4. So this is the beginning of the open Sicilian, which is one of the main lines. And after the moves NF6 and C3, we looked at G6 before, that is called the dragon variation. Today we are going to look at the move A6. After A6, it can become Najdorf or Scheveningen. It depends upon black's next move. So line which I am recommending right now is the move BE3. So in all lines we want to play as sharp as possible. White wants to go here with the moves F3, Queen D2, long castle. Same like the Yugoslav attack against the dragon. But later on this pushing of pawns will be slightly different. Because here black will not play G6. So the move E5 makes this the Najdorf variation. If E6 is played now, then it is called the Scheveningen Sicilian. This line was popularized by Miguel Najdorf, hence the name Najdorf variation. So knight goes to B3. We take the knight to B3 because we want to play F3, Queen D2. Otherwise this knight can go to F3 also. Many will now note that knight F5 looks like an active place for the knight, but unfortunately after knight F5, bishop takes F5, E takes F5. Many will say that we got the bishop for a knight, but black gets the very strong move D5. And after E5 and D5, we see D4 is threat, BB4 coming up, so center is in black's favor. F5 pawn, which has become doubled, is somewhat weak here. And knight C6, BB4 castle, black will do better in this position. So NF5 is a mistake. After knight B3, black can almost play B7 and B6 both, which lead to same kind of position. Usually black plays B6 first. Controls the D5 square. So D5 is slightly weakened because of the move E5. So such a square is called a strong square. It's a strong square for white. A square where opponent's pawn cannot attack. So usually that square has to be in the center. Here D5 is an ideal location for the knight to come to D5. Also it's an outpost for the knight. A square on an open file supported by a pawn. So that file is open for us. So this D5 square is both outpost and a strong square. White plays F3 because immediate QD2 we know allows knight G4. So F3, and here B7 QD2 is the natural course. We must wonder why black cannot play D5, because in all Sicilians black immediately wants to play D5 after completing development. Here black is not fully developed. He can say that white also is not fully developed. Why not break the center by D5? There are some problems. Let's see. E into D5, knight D5. Now it's forced to take because BB4 is coming up. So QD2 will allow BB4. So again knight into D5. When after BD5, white can just go Queen D2 long castle. White can also consider bishop D3 followed by Queen E2 option also, which can aim to attack the weak E5 pawn. After QD5, black might try to gain near about equality, as at least it looks so. But after the move QD5, BD5, long castle, we already see that white has 3 developments for black's 1, and this bishop has to be moved again because bishop B3, AB3 will allow white a nice bishop pair position. Now this D5 or E4 square will be eyed by this bishop, bishop C4, BD5 or BD3, bishop E4, and the other bishop coming to B6 will make the occupation of D5 very difficult for black, and white will double his rooks on the D5. So this will give a clearly better position to white. Bishop E6, and here white can use the move bishop d3, knight c5 or knight a5. Each one will give different kind of advantage. I like the move knight a5. Instantly we attack the b7 pawn, and after the move b5, this bishop can go to d3, and soon it will land on the e4 square. Note that playing moves like f5 will allow rook e1, and then e5 pawn will become instant target when this bishop moves to b6. White also has a very nice plan of going knight b7, knight c5, and after bishop c5, castle will be stopped. White's bishops will be very active. Rook h1 and rook d1 will put pressure on e5. So this will be a very good position, clearly better for white, we can say. So now let's look at the main game. Black plays the move b7 here, first preparing castle and then trying to play the move d5. White immediately hurries to stop that. qd2, castle, and here comes long castle. So with this move, white has gained enough control on d5 so that the move d5 can be stopped. We see that white has 1, 2, 3 and 4 attackers on d5. Black has only 3. The pawn itself cannot be counted. So after d5, 4 attacks and 3 supports. So d5 is not possible. Now black has various plans here. This knight can go from c6 to a5 and to c4. That is why it wants to add the e3 and the d2 queen, and that is the reason why white has not developed this bishop. Whenever this knight comes to c4, white wants to take bishop into c4. This is one of the ideas. This is our main discussion today. I am trying to cover the basic lines and white's basic ideas and same way black's basic ideas. In future I will be making other parts of this so that we know the whole system completely. I am planning to do all the Sicilian basic parts first, then move on to part 2 of every Sicilian. So black has another plan, knight d7 also, when knight b6, knight c4 is possible, and same can be used after the move b5. First b5, then knight d7, knight b6. So these are 3 different setups which are possible for black. Today we are going to cover the main standard play where black plays nc6. So in dragon what we saw, white plays h4, h5 and tries to attack. Here what will happen, see basically white wants these 2 pawns to go away so that his rook attacks h7, the other rook can join from g1 and attack g7. Of course it's not possible to remove these pawns this way. That is why the concept of pawn storm we use. We push the pawns and try to open the files. So it's very important to know which pawn has to be used and when. In dragon we saw whenever there is g6 we use the neighboring pawn. So g pawn has a neighbor h pawn, so white goes h4, h5 and tries to open the position. Here using h4, h5, h6 will allow black to go g6 and the king side will get closed. So white wants to use this g pawn and the plan is to go h4, h5, g5 and g6. We need to attack 2 pawns with 1 so that it forces him to take, or we will take the next move and we will get at least 1 open file out of these. So white is looking at opening at least one of these files open, either the g file or the h file. Let's see how the game unfolds. Black plays rook c8. White goes h4. Instant g5 allows the knight to go to h5. Usually when black has played b5, b4, this knight goes to e2. That time white plays g5 directly because after lh5 he has got knight g3. When knight g3, hg opens the h5. So here since black has not played b5, b4, white will have to use the h pawn also. So h4, knight a5. Always note, many people fear the move bb3. After bb3, ab3 is also fine when d5 square has fallen into white's hand. And now see, after queen a5, we can just go kb1. There are some problems related to the move nb4 when the exchange sack can be dangerous. So this is a special case where after bishop b3, cb3 is even better option. because after moves like NB4 trying to use the pin simply KB1, and if queen A5, white can just play the move A3. Do note that rook C3 is not possible, and even if we don't play A3, rook C3, BC3 and the queen guards A2. So the black's attack is beaten off because of these 3 pawns on A2, B3 and B2. So giving up the bishop doesn't make much sense for black. Black went Na5, knight is eyeing the B3 square, knight wants to go to C4 also, and bishop is also eyeing the B3 square and the C4 squares. Here it's possible perfectly to play the move KB1, which is usually done, okay, because KB1 will ensure that no tactics happens on the C5, because after NB3, CB3, there can be move like B5, B4. But I must tell you that it's not necessary that we commit the move KB1 right now. We can do that after the move B5 also. So white went H5 in this game. KB1 was also perfectly fine. Now to B5, white will play the move KB1. Okay, that will do another thing, that when knight comes to C4, bishop C4, BC4, this knight gets placed on C1. So it does that also, and it avoids any tactics based on the move B4. If it is like this, then B4, knight A4, and we see that pawn is lost on B3. Bishop into B3. In fact, piece is lost here because after AB, knight B3 check is fork. So at the time of B5, we will have to do the move KB1. So black went NC4 in this game. Bishop takes C4. Bishop takes C4. And white plays the move G5. I have purposely chosen this move order so that avoiding KB1, so that I want you to understand why the move KB1 is very important. Now the knight has to choose between E8 and D7. D7 is slightly better. It will allow two good places from B6 or C5 for the knight to join the queen side later on. On knight E8, the knight will be really passive, and the F8 rook will not have any place to move. So we have a very critical moment for the white's attack, and everyone by now knows that white has to play the move G6. But this timing of G6 is inadequate because of a small tactic. Black uses H6, and after BH6, GH6, Queen H6, usually which wins the game. See, bishop takes on H6, pawn takes H6, and Queen H6, and it looks like it's very difficult to stop QH7. If knight comes to F6, we can do GF followed by Rook G1, or even directly the move Rook G1. When GF7 and G7 both are completely winning, but here black has Bishop G5 check, doing a skewer, and the white player is the one who will lose the game. So we understand that the move KB1 is very important. That is why most people don't use the move order H5. They always go KB1 first, because anyway before playing G6 we need to play KB1. But at lower level, I must tell you, many people go for the move QC7 as black, and if queen is on C7 or even the queen is on A5, then the move G6 is perfectly fine and in fact good, because now after H6, BH6, GH, Queen H6, there is no BG5 check. So if the black queen on D8 and bishop on E7 is present, then we need to have KB1 before G6. If the queen has moved or the bishop has moved, then KB1 is not absolutely necessary before G6. The point is, if we are unable to open this position now, black will soon have either BG5 or F6, and we don't want the position to get closed in such a way that BH6 is never possible. So this BG5 can be a big problem if we are unable to get BH6 to open the position. Hence the move KB1. Black went B5. Now he wants to play B4, but we note that white's attack has already become very strong. G6, and let us discuss few ways for black. So black has either he has to ignore this position or he can play the move h6. If h6 is played, like I told you, this time bishop h6, g into h6, queen into h6. Now rook cannot move because queen h7 check, king at q8, qh8 mates. So knight f6 forced. Here many want to play the move g7, which might win, but there could be some defense based on the move nh7, gf8, bf8, rook g1, king h8. So there is no direct mate over there, but it can be good. But here there is a very simple move, g into f7, because if king takes f7, we can use 2g6 check. Okay, and the king has to walk out on e6. But the strongest move happens to be rook d g1. We threaten gf7 with double check, and more importantly, if any move like b4 or bishop b3, then white just is about to go g7. This time knight h7 loses to g into f8, queen is protected by the queen and rook is giving check, so it's a double check and mate. So we can say that after the move rook g1, there is absolutely no defense to g7 and white wins. In the game, black went bishop into b3, ab3, queen a5, challenging white to show what he has got here. And now white should not take gh because of king h8, and after h6, black will play g6 when white's own pawns will not allow him to attack. So comes the move h6, very strong, and now white has a very dangerous threat of opening both the files and create a mating attack. So now if fg, then h into g wins instantly. And we see that after kg7, we can use the move bh6, winning the exchange also, or using qh2 to attack h7. qd5 check is also there at hand. If hg is played, it's even worse. We will have the move hg, kg7, bishop h6 check. If king comes to f6, then knight d5 check, winning the queen, or even qg5 check, ke6, qg4, winning the game. And after the move kg8, white can again choose between knight d5, qd2, knight e7 check, winning the piece, or just qh2, threatening the movement of bishop, maybe bishop e3, idea mate, maybe bishop g5, threatening mate, and also md5. And this position is winning for. That is the reason black usually likes to have the bishop on e6, because knight d5 is going to be really annoying now. After h6, black went b4, and now g into h7 check, king h8, h into g check, kg7. In fact, there are many ways of winning here, but white has a forced mate. See, white wants to go qg2 check without allowing the king to hide on h8. So the square h8 is hideout for black. So white makes a simple clearance sacrifice, h8 queen check, forcing the rook to take, and now goes for the move qg2, after which he gets mated in all the variations. Now if king comes to f6, we can go qg5 check, ke6, queen f5 checkmate. King goes to f8, then rook h8 checkmate. So whitely black's chance is bg5, when qg5 check, king f8 and rook h8, still checkmates, and white wins the game. This was the basic idea related to white's attack, how white will be able to successfully conduct his attack against the Sicilian Najdorf. I hope you are enjoying these lessons. Do like, share and subscribe the channel. Thanks for your time.